I've cleaned up my act. It's a new Randy. It's a new Randy.
You've cleaned up.
You've heard that shit. You've heard that shit before, haven't you?
Welcome to Cue the Mic. We got the Reverend Randy Twyford.
And it's good to be here. Good to be here on board helping out.
Helping out? You're the star of the show.
Oh, shit. I've not been the star of anything except when I was in like third grade. We don't want to talk about that.
We, our first episode without Emma. Emma's, no longer on the payroll. I wish I said that. She's still on the payroll because she's still the producer of Cue the Mic. She's just got a real job.
Exactly.
Right. Emma's biggest concern was that first Randy had his ring light on, that Randy had his AirPods in, so he didn't reverberate back. He's got both of them. That ring light's looking wonderful. He's got the AirPods, and that we actually hit the record button. Okay, so we didn't talk for an hour.
That's the number one. That's the number one.
Well, no, I think number one was, she says, I don't know how you guys are going to do it, because when you're on a conversation together, you're always talking amongst each other. You're talking over each other. And I said, oh, that's easy. When I want to talk, I'll just raise my hand. And when you want to talk, you just raise your hand.
You raise your hand. Just
right?
Like in school.
You want to talk now?
Yep.
Just like in school. So that's the only thing that it's going to take a little getting used to. It took Emma and I probably 3 or 4 things to say, hey, Emma, you finish your sentence and then I'm going to pop in. Right. That's the hardest part of this this podcasting stuff. I mean, we're episode 31. 31. Incredible. That's damn near. That's over a half a year. I'm surprised this lasted 2.
Well, there you go. You're surprised again.
I'm surprised again. But anyway, it'll be fun. New adventures. Randy and I go way, way back, so there'll be a lot of stories come up. But so what's new and exciting this weekend, Randy?
Well, this past weekend, we were pretty busy. We had 2 big weddings. And then we had a catering Christmas party where we did prime rib for 125 people, which we don't do prime rib every day. And so it was kind of a challenge figuring out what we had to do and how we did that. But probably more importantly, we don't really have much staff here. And it was kind of funny. We had to get some of our girls that have helped us in the past come in because our football boys were gone. Speaking of football, a lot of you guys know that football. I hire guys from Illinois College, local school college, and that are football players. So it makes, in the fall, getting our food truck out and stuff kind of makes it a little difficult because they're busy on the weekends. Well, they won their conference, and so now they're going on to the second leg, and probably. Another thing is people, I don't know how many local people, but Colin Brunstein that worked for us all summer, he's leading the NCAA in touchdown pass in receiving passes and touchdowns. So Illinois College is has a heck of a football program this year, and we're pretty proud to be big sponsors of it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome with Colin. I saw that on the old Facebook feed this morning when I got up, and I'm like, that's pretty. It is championship Randy Twyford barbecue, right? So he fits right in.
But back to this weekend,
that's right.
It was kind of funny. We got down to this place that we were catering the Christmas party. We went in my pickup, and it kind of reminded me. We went back to in the beginning when we did catering out. We started out doing catering out of pickups and stuff like that because that's all we had. And we had one van go one way and Marla's car go the other way, and then our truck. And we got down there, and the kid that was helping us, a high school kid, Megan's nephew, was helping us. He rode down with a salad in his lap, and Megan wrote down with the apple crisp in her lap and the bread pudding between her legs. So it was, I mean, if we would have rolled the truck, everything would have been in the same place. We were so packed in there and the same way. But, you know, it's kind of like somebody, I was talking to a friend of mine on Friday, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't know how we'll get this pulled off. And he goes, Randy, you will get it pulled off because you have to do it. And that's exactly right. I mean, you and I talked quite a bit about the whole process of like the prime rib and stuff and how we did that. And the stuff turned out perfect, just perfect.
I can't get past the whole. I mean, Megan sounds tasty with an apple crisp in her lap and bread pudding between her legs.
Well, yeah, there, and she'd knock the shit out of you for saying that. She could whip both of us. Meg's my key person. She's been
Randy,
she's my longest employee.
Hey, she is. Yeah, so she's good shit. She's good shit. She won't slap me too much for that, but no, Randy we'd had a lot of conversations this past week about prime rib because we don't do a lot of prime rib. It's just, to me, it's pretty risky. If it was just me doing it, then I'd be more comfortable. With Randy, he was able to be there and monitor it, right? But if I'm not there, that's an expensive piece of meat to screw up. And Randy, I asked him how it went yesterday when we were talking, and he says, wow, I think it went really good. He says it was so damn dark in the room that they couldn't tell whether it was medium well or whether it was medium rare, which kind of helped.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess the moral of the story is just lower the lights. If you don't think something good, just lower your lights.
Exactly. Worked out good for us, though.
Well, yeah, that's good. I'm glad that was a success.
So I saw you guys had a Veterans Day deal where you gave free meals to veterans. How'd that turn out for you guys?
Yeah, so we always do that every Veterans Day. You know, supporting our troops and all the veterans out there. We, of course, Saturday, it's a busy day for us anyway. But we served about 1,200 people in the restaurant total, but 500 of those, just a little over 500, 502, 503, was lunch platters free to the veterans. So we gave a lunch platter with a drink and everything, a 1 meat, 2 sides. So we were really glad. Huge turnout, lots of compliments. Love to give back to the community. We did. It was touch and go. They had me about half pissed off on a couple days before. So I was running the social media for Smokey D's, and even before Emma left, Friday was her last day. But anyway, there's this one gal, we had copied a sign probably 10 years ago for this giveaway, and it said all active and retired military. Well, some gal got on there and says, well, you know, you got to be 20 years to be retired. And I'm like, just bring a military ID in. Just bring, I don't know, wear a hat that says Navy. I don't care, right? Just bring something in to show me you're military, so we're not feeding the entire world free barbecue, because it's all about supporting. Well, you know, this and my husband, we came in 8 years ago and they said we weren't active, so they didn't serve us. I'm like, you sure about that? You know, because I'm not sure we'd ever turn anybody away that even 8 years ago that pretended to be. So this gal just kept coming after us. This was on a Facebook post. She just kept coming after us. And I looked at Emma and I said, Emma, this kind of makes me not want to do it anymore, you know, because you get one Karen out there that just raises. So, you know, just think about the big picture if you're posting out on Facebook and all that crap. It just drives me crazy, you know, that they get on this and I'm like, okay, sorry, I copied the sign. It's okay. Well, I think it needs to be changed. I'm not redesigning the change, you know, one day before the event and redoing the sign and all this stuff. And it's just frustrating, but you know, hey, water off a duck's back. That's part of the restaurant business. You gotta have pretty tough skin to be able to take it. And you just gotta see through people.
Question. Did she show up? Or do you know if she came and got her free meal?
Oh, she probably doesn't live within 500 miles of the place.
Okay.
I was to the point that I was going to say, you know what? you know what? You're not welcome, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome, but you are not welcome. Well,
They
then the
just
next day we
nitpick.
posted something different. Well, and the one thing in our government's infinite wisdom that we now had not only Memorial Day on Saturday, but we observed Memorial Day on Friday. Now, I found out about this Friday morning about 7 a.m. I'm looking at my calendar. I pull it up for the day. I'm sitting at breakfast, pull up and see what's on the calendar, and it said Memorial Day. I'm like, oh, did we screw up? We got ours Saturday. Well, then I looked into it, and since, Saturday, the government offices observed it on Friday.
Okay.
Well, so I go out and, Hy-Vee and their big breakfast. So everybody goes to Hy-Vee for breakfast because they give a free breakfast away on Veterans Day.
Sure.
Free breakfast buffet. And they did theirs on Friday. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, nope, we're sticking with it. We're Sunday. So we had to put a post out there to say, hey, we're doing ours on Saturday. We understand. We're not doing it both days because we're not carrying your information. So I don't want somebody coming in on Friday getting a free meal and then turn around on Saturday getting a free meal, because it is a lot of money. I think we, out of that whole thing, 500 meals, that was probably $6,000, $7,000,
sure.
in sales that went to that. But hey, and we're glad to do things like that. We are glad to do things like that. But, it's just, I don't know. Moral of the story is, if you get on that, it's fine if you want to send me a message and say, hey, psst, hey, this isn't right. You might want to change this. Then just constantly go after me in a Facebook feed. But then I had the great opportunity. So on Saturday, I was hired by Jack Daniels via the KCBS. Yeah, so we had Jack Daniels this summer had a grilling giveaway contest. And so it was for 5 lucky winners around the country. And the winner of the prize was you got a catering from a world champion pitmaster. So a pitmaster that had won the Jack Daniels World Championship. You got a catering for 30 people on the date that you guys could mutually agree upon. Well, it was supposed to be kind of within 30 miles of the house. That was the restrictions when they sent the contract to me. But they drew my winner out of Lamar's, Iowa, which is about 3.5 hours away. And they were all nervous. Well, what do we do? And I said, well, I get in the truck and I hook onto the barbecue trailer and I go to Lamar's, Iowa. It's no big deal.
And do it.
It's just, we just get her done. So, so I get up early Saturday. Well, I'd cooked a couple Wagyu briskets overnight on Friday night, Texas style. You got your phone.
Now, what do you mean by
there,
Texas
Randy?
style? No, that was my watch. What do you mean by Texas style?
I'm trying to get Randy to focus on this podcast, but Texas style, so I did kind of a low and slow overnight. I did about 225, but I did only salt, pepper, garlic. I actually used, Malcolm Reed's got a great Texas brisket rub,
right?
That I just love. And so I just put that on there. I trimmed the brisket down, threw it on there. I got up I thought I would be kind of up and down all night, worried about those 2 Wagyu briskets. You got about $400 worth of meat on the smoker, but
right.
I put them on must have been about 8:00 at night, put them on 225 degrees. Sherry woke up to go to work at 4:00. She goes, you might want to check your briskets. So sure enough, I went outside and they were about 170. I'm like, well, I think I'll just wrap them. I was going to wrap them in butcher paper. And I said, nah, I think I'll wrap them in foil. So I brought them in the house, wrapped them up tight in foil, just put a little beef consomme because I had a couple cans sitting right there, put them back on the cooker. Off I went, put the probe in it, went inside, had shower, got a little breakfast, went back out. Briskets were perfect done, about 203, 204 degrees. Really tender. So I brought them inside, let them sit on the counter, just kind of come down to about 170 degrees. I knew I had to travel 3.5 hours with them, and I wasn't serving until 4:00 in the afternoon. Okay. So I threw them in a cooler, put some towels in there and threw them in the truck and hooked onto the trailer. I was hooked onto the trailer and off I went to Lamar's, Iowa. And when I got there, I had a little warmer in the back, a little Alto Sham half cabinet in the back of the trailer. And I got the generator running, heated that up to 150 degrees and just put those briskets in there while I was, I decided I wanted to cook most of this stuff on site. I wanted it to be not only a prize, but I want it to be kind of a cooking lesson for the thing.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, I show up in Lamar's, Iowa, and it's a military veteran who I'm doing it for. And old Tyler, he had served 9 years active duty in the Marines, and he had a back problem. And so he went on leave, on this medical leave, trying to take care of this back problem. He fought that for a year and a half. He got back, thought he was going to be able to get back active, really wanted to be a lifer in the military, and he couldn't quite pass the test. So he was kind of, I don't know what they call that. I don't want to make anybody mad, but I would call it medically discharged or whatever. But a great guy, young family, got a 4-year-old little daughter, but we hit it off right away. Of course, he's a big bourbon drinker. His bourbon collection is probably bigger than mine.
My God.
We didn't have any of it.
Okay. Sure. Mm-hmm. You had to drive.
I had to drive. So his daughter kept wanting to come in the trailer, and he's like, no. And I'm like, no, have her come in here. So we had the ribs out on the table, and I said, hey, do you want to season this? Yeah, I want to season. And he looked at me. I'm like, no, come on down. I'm used to this. I got a 4-year-old grandson. And so she hopped right up on the stool and grabbed the seasoning. And of course, she's just dumping it on there. I'm okay, Dad, that's pretty good there, and I'm rubbing it. And she rubbed all the ribs. She was just happy as could be. She was in the trailer half the day with me. She just hanging out. So we cooked some pork collars, cooked some ribs. He had actually brined his own pork belly, and he says, hey, do you mind if we throw that on the smoker? So I'm like, yeah, as long as you cook the side dishes. Because I was out of smoker space. I said, if we can heat up the side dishes in the oven, life will be good. And so we did that. And, we just cooked on until about 4:30 in the afternoon, and all his guests started arriving. And then as stuff got done, I was just putting it in the warmer. And I tell you, I'm not sure why in competition barbecue we ever inject a damn thing. I mean, I can't cook a better brisket than I cook there. I can't cook better ribs than I did there. I can't cook better pork than I did there. And all I did was put some seasoning on it and throw it in. And when I wrapped it, I did wrap it competition style, a little, maybe a little maple syrup and butter, a little Tennessee red on the pork, and, just the normal thing. But it was just amazing. And they're like, whoa. And this brisket especially, it had so much juiciness in it. I'm like, why am I injecting this? Because every time I taste a competition brisket, it's just, I'm like, ugh, tastes like chemicals. Yeah. And I'm like, why? And I know part of it is to get some flavor into it, and part of it is to make sure it stays juicy all the way through the judging process. Right. But I'm about half tempted. I'm about half tempted to just try it without injecting. And I'll probably get killed, but I don't care. Right. Just to prove a point. But man, was that barbecue juicy, and it was just amazing.
Well, and that's kind of like every now and then, like some of our briskets that we cook for caterings, I'll try them and I'm like, and I would not have tried them for a while, ate any brisket for a while, and I'll try them, and it's just like, holy shit, this stuff's good, and it's not injected or anything like that, and just our rub on it, and cherry wood and that, and it's just like, wow. So did he have the 30 guests there and everything?
I'm not sure he had quite 30. He had enough. He had enough food for about 60 or 70, but he had all the neighbors over there, and he had his family. His dad actually lives in Des Moines, so he had his whole family up there and the neighbors, and I imagine they had a lot of leftovers. But good for them. I mean, it was great to celebrate his day with him and thank him for his service. Sure. And it just couldn't have been any better. I mean, on the way home, I called Rod Gray to kind of let him know that I had completed the mission of getting it done, and told him about the veteran thing. And he's like, it's one of those things that when you do spend a day doing that. And I remember there's a few times when it's usually giving back. Like we used to do the Iowa Barbecue Society Christmas tree giveaway, where we used to serve meals and give away free Christmas trees. And, we're getting ready in the next few weeks. We're big. We donate to the Pinky Swear Foundation, and Pinky Swear's a whole pediatric cancer.
Oh, okay.
Well, so Pinky Swear was a foundation that was started. There was a kid back in Minnesota years ago, and he was in the hospital and he was dying of cancer. Right. And he went to his dad and he says, "Hey, Dad, I see all these people." And he heard somebody in the neighboring room saying, "Well, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to afford Christmas. We need to pay these medical bills." And he says, "Hey, Dad, do I got some money in the bank?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got this money. Do you think we could get that money out of the bank? Because I'd like to give that to my friends in the hospital." Right?
Right.
And so his dad went to the bank and got all these $100 bills. And he put them in envelopes, and they walked around to each room on Christmas morning and handed out these $100 bills saying "Merry Christmas." Right.
Right.
And so anyway, when they got done, he went to his dad and said, "Hey, Dad, that was so much fun. I'd like to do that again next year." And he goes, "Well, son, I'm not sure you're going to be around." And he goes, "Well, Dad, if I'm not around, will you continue to do this for me?" And his dad's like, "Yep, I'll do it." And he goes, "Dad, will you pinky swear?" And so they did a pinky swear, and therefore the Pinky Swear Foundation was started. So Sherry and I, it started. So it started with, Haley was doing the graphic design work for Pinky Swear when she was working another job. So she got involved with Pinky Swear, and once we heard that story and whatever, Sherry and I instantly became, bigger sponsors. And every year we become bigger and bigger sponsors of their main fundraising. So, we give a lot of money every year to Pinky Swear. We cater the telethon. We write big checks to them. We surprise them. We give percentage of our sales every day to during that telethon is normally on a Friday. Sure. So we give a percentage of the sales back to them. So it's just a way of giving back. But I tell you, the way I felt coming back from veterans, the grilling giveaway and Pinky Swear and whatever, there's just not much better feeling than being able to give back or help somebody in need. And I just, it's like my favorite times. And we do a lot, but I don't do it enough, whether it's something simple or whatever. It's just one of those, just stories is like, man, you didn't have to pay me to do this. All I had to know what I was going to go through, and it was be a veteran. I would have paid them to do it.
Exactly. What a sweet deal. And especially with him being a veterans and on Veterans Day, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. It was really good, so then on the way home, I never turn on the radio, right? I never ever,
right.
I just think about stuff. And since I've had a podcast, for 31 episodes now, I've started to listen to some podcasts just to kind of get some hints about structures and what people do. And, a lot of them you listen to that, I'd like to thank this sponsor and this sponsor. And Randy, as you know, we don't have no sponsors and we ain't looking for none.
None.
No. This is all gratis. Matter of fact, we're paying Emma to do it now. You gonna? Oh, I'll get the bill. Don't worry. I got it covered.
I'll get it maybe in a couple weeks. Okay.
Yeah. I'll send you that bill, the producing bill. You'll shit your pants.
Okay.
But anyway, so I was traveling and I started listening to podcasts, and I'm really a big fan of David Chang. Right. And David Chang is the guy behind Momofuku Noodles, if you've ever heard it. He's got a bunch of restaurants. He's got a bunch of Netflix series and stuff that is just great stuff. He's just a great guy, a Korean guy. And it's just a lot of really easy to listen to. So I'd never listened to his podcast, and he's in full Thanksgiving mode now. Right. Okay. And he's just back and forth. And it made me start thinking about, he's like, one of the things I was listening to, he said, "You know what I hate about Thanksgiving? Vegetables. I just hate vegetables. Nobody wants to eat them. Why do you even put them on the menu? Forget about your parsnips and roasted carrots and your Brussels sprouts and whatever. Just eliminate them. Let's just all serve cream spinach because we all know that's the best vegetable. And I'm like, really? Huh. Kind of chefy, but it got me into the Thanksgiving mode, because this is coming up. This will
week.
Drop the Monday before Thanksgiving. Yeah. And that's going to be hard to find time to record. So, we know Thanksgiving is going to hit us like a ton of bricks. The orders are coming in crazy. As I'm sure they are with you, but I've just started to think about Thanksgiving dinner. Are you thinking about, do you and Marla do anything for Thanksgiving dinner since it's really two every year? Do you invite people over?
She'll have her brother come up and we'll have Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
And just kind of a basic, probably if we got a smoked turkey breast left, and there's been some times that we haven't had anything. We've had to go to town and get something because I've ended up screwed up orders and had to give somebody this and give somebody that, but we'll have Kevin come up and it's kind of taking it pretty easy day. So will you make a whole spread? No. It'll be just kind of like a regular dinner, but we always have some kind of dessert. And one of the desserts we usually have is the bread pudding that we make. And
I saw this on Facebook the other day.
Yeah, and it's a bread pudding. We've done it for several years. We used to have it on the food truck. Matter of fact, we did 4 of them this weekend for the Christmas party. And everybody's like, will you share that secret recipe with me? And I'm like, hell yes, I will. Because it came from Melissa Cookston's Smoking in the Boys' Room cookbook. And anybody that go out and buy Melissa's Smoking in the Boys' Room cookbook, the recipe's in there. And I asked Melissa one day, when I saw it in there, I said, Melissa, do you mind, some people kind of get a little tender about using their recipes and stuff, or I do, just the fact I don't want to piss somebody off. And Melissa, being the hellacious person she is, I was like, would you mind if I used your bread pudding recipe in our catering? She kind of reared back and, hell no, I don't care. That's what the son of a bitch is in the book for, is for you to take in, for people to use. So we use it in a lot of caterings. When we a couple of years ago, we used to have it on the food truck all the time. And people think it's a pretty technical recipe. It's the simplest thing. And I'll share it with you guys today. And
share that with us, because
it's made with just donuts. That's the key, is donuts are the best, is what it's made with, not, different kinds of bread. But you got to be careful. I found the best donuts to use are from Walmart. I've used donuts from a donut shop, and they're too. The best thing to do is go to Walmart and get the day-old donuts. The day-old donuts. And because if some of them are too puffy, and they'll absorb all your liquids, and your bread pudding will be too dry. So don't use cake donuts.
So you need You need it dense.
Yes, a very dense donut, and just glazed donuts. Don't get too fancy with it. So you take and you got 2 dozen donuts. Get you a big old bowl. You got 2 dozen donuts, and just tear them in pieces, like you're making stuffing for Thanksgiving. Just tear them in pieces. Put them in the bowl. Then you cover it with a 14-ounce can, one of them little bitty cans of condensed milk. You put the condensed milk on it, and then you take an apple pie filling can, which is about 20 ounces. Take and put a half a can of that in with it, on top of it. One of the things I've done is measured it out, and it's a full cup, a full scoop cup of apple pie filling. Well, you put that in there. Take 2 large eggs and 3/4 cup of heavy cream and whisk it together. You're pouring all this stuff on top of your donuts. Then take and put a teaspoon or a pinch of kosher salt in, and then just start kneading it. Don't try mixing it with a spoon or anything like that. Just start kneading it together and work it down, and it'll go from a full bowl down to a smaller ball because it's taking in all that liquid and stuff. And the best thing you can do for it is let it set about 20 minutes. Then that way all that liquid is sucked into those donuts and stuff, and you don't have any stuck around the wall and stuff. The key to it is use a 13 by 9 pan. And so if you use a 13 by 9 pan, the 2 dozen donuts will fit in there and they'll be on top. And so when you bake it, they'll be brown on top. And I mean, you can go out to our website and out to our Facebook page. We've got pictures out there. And it shows. The other thing to do, and we've made this mistake, and I've talked to my cohort with recipes, Marla, and we've tried to do a double batch. And for some reason, if you do a double batch, it doesn't work. It doesn't have the fluff to it. I don't know what there is about it, but you double it up and put it in a large, like a full-size restaurant pan, you're wasting your time. Put it in a 13 by 9 and mix it one batch at a time. It doesn't take you long to mix it. And then put it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes until, you can stick a knife or a toothpick down in there and it comes out clean. And the tops of them, the kind of the fluffs of the banana, of the bread, of the donuts, those start getting darked up some, and you're ready to go. And then you can either take and buy caramel syrup. Go ahead. What do you need? Do you have a question?
Well, no. Go ahead. I'll wait till you finish. Let's get this recipe.
Okay.
Out there.
And so then your caramel syrup, so you let that set, bake for about 20, 25 minutes. Keep an eye on it. Then you want to take and put, if you want to make your own caramel sauce, take a pound of butter and then 2 cups of light brown sugar and a third of a cup. Take the butter and the brown sugar and put it on the stove and get it hot and get it mixed up so it solidifies. And you can just taste it a little bit, make sure it's not gritty. So you want to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then put a third a cup of heavy whipping cream in there and then mix that all up in there. And then set it to the side and let it cool. And or you can go to town and buy you a thing of Smucker's caramel syrup. But do yourself a favor. Done this before. This is experience speaking. Don't go to all the effort of making the bread pudding, putting all the time and effort into it, and then go buy some cheap-ass caramel syrup. Because there is a difference. Spend the money, get some Smucker's or some real good quality caramel syrup, and you'll be glad you did because it'll really complement that bread pudding. Then take and just pour the caramel syrup on the bread pudding, and you're ready to serve. And that's all there is to it.
So this has me. I'm trying to figure out this. I've got a couple things. So
okay,
you let it sit for 20 minutes, but could it set overnight?
No, I wouldn't let it set overnight. I don't think I'd let it set overnight.
Why
with
not?
The eggs and everything. With the eggs and everything in there. Why would you want to set it overnight?
Well, in the cooler, Randy.
Well, in the refrigerator. I agree, but I wouldn't do it. I'll put it this way. I've never done it. And I've been as pushed for time doing this as anybody. And I've never done it, so I don't know what would happen. The only thing might happen, those donuts might get too soggy.
Well, that's why when I was listening to you go through the kneading and all that stuff, I'm like, why couldn't you mix this up and just put it in the pan and let it sit overnight and let it naturally absorb those juices? Because I'm always looking for something that I can prep the day ahead of time. So when you look at things that are going on, if we're catering 35 events in a day and we need to make bread pudding, I need to get that prepped the day before.
Start early.
Right? Randy, nobody starts earlier than me.
I was making bread pudding at 5:30 Saturday morning.
What, 5:30 Saturday morning? I was already an hour and a half into briskets and had breakfast.
Oh, okay. All right. And had breakfast.
But another thing, because it sounds crazy, and I think you could do, like you say, caramel sauce. I mean, old David Morrow always made a white chocolate bread pudding where you could just put a white chocolate caramel sauce. But let me tell you, or white chocolate sauce on top, but a little different variation. But let me tell you something that I read about this week that just amazed me. So people talked, and this was out on Reddit, so it was true, okay? Because anything out on Reddit is true, right?
Exactly.
They took a small can of sweetened condensed milk.
Okay.
And they put it in the crock pot and covered it on high for 8 hours. And they added water they wanted to make sure the can was fully submerged all the time.
Lid still on it.
Put it in the crock pot for 8 hours. Take it out. Open the can, and you have the best caramel sauce you've ever had.
Not going to argue that one. I could, if you had plenty of time to do that, but I could see, because
now
the haters comes out. Go ahead.
The haters said, well, really, that's how they make dulce leche. You know, that Mexican cheesecake or whatever they call it, the dulce leche. That caramel, they said it wasn't caramel, it was dulce leche. But I haven't done it. Now, there was also a few comments about that, I don't do that anymore. I had to remodel my kitchen after the can blew up.
Oh.
And covered everything in the kitchen full of caramel sauce. So if you're going to do it, I would say try it in the garage first, maybe.
Or why even try it? Just make the caramel syrup like you're supposed to and be done with it.
Yeah, I suppose. But it sounds super easy. I love recipes that are super easy. And this is, but I want to try. Why don't you try that? Since I'm always on a diet. I want you to try mixing that stuff ahead of time. I want to make a big old. You said 9 by 13. So is that you would serve that in a half pan?
No, I'd serve it right out of the pan. I'd serve that 9 by
in a foil pan, a half pan.
Correct. Well, no, 9 by 13. A half pan is not a 9 by 13 pan. I don't believe.
Well, a full pan's not a 9 by 13 either.
That's why you buy 9 by 13 pans and make it in that. That way it gives you the right density, the right thickness, and it's moist. And you could try it, but we've kind of tried this and that and got along. This is the best way we've done it, is because trust me, didn't want to go buy some pans, and I was told to go buy the 9 by 13 pans, And on a side note, as I said, that recipe comes out of Melissa Cookston's Smoking in the Boys' Room cookbook, and she's had that out for a while. But there's a bunch of really nice recipes. We've used several of them, like pickling onions and stuff like that. There's all kinds of recipes for that. It's a real good cookbook to have on hand, and it's easy to read. I mean, you're not going to have to go to the gourmet shop to get them, because Melissa's pretty down to earth, and let's make it with stuff we have in the kitchen and stuff. So, and she goes, I think, all the way from cooking a whole hog to, I saw a recipe in there for peaches, grilled peaches, and how she caramelizes the glaze for the peaches and stuff. So it's the full gamut. I'd highly recommend. It's one of those good ones to have around just to be handy.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, we were talking Thanksgiving, because normally my Thanksgiving meal is I walk into the restaurant on Thanksgiving morning and then decide what I'm going to cook for Thanksgiving. Right? There's not a lot of planning, but Sherry hit me up last night about wanting to, turkey breast. Right? So turkey breast, I do turkey breast kind of Texas style too. And I tell you, I've got people on this recipe about doing turkey recipe, and people just go crazy over this turkey. And you would think that it's unsafe. It doesn't. So I'll take a turkey breast. Okay. I'm not going to inject
Right.
it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to take, and if it's got skin on it, I'll take the skin off. And
Oh,
once
really?
again, I'm going to hit it with some of that. Yep. And I'm going to hit it with some of Malcolm's Texas brisket. Just salt, pepper, garlic, right?
Right.
Anything. Cosmo's got one. Hell, they all got one. Hell, you can put kosher salt, black pepper, whatever you want. Put it on
Right.
there, and I'll put it on the smoker. And I'll cook it about 275. And I'm going to cook it till it reaches 138 degrees internal exactly. Okay.
That's
Now,
not.
if you're
It's
a little
not.
worried, take to 140 if you're worried. But then as soon as that hits that temperature, I'm going to have a piece of foil sitting there, and I'm going to have a stick of butter melted. I'm going to take that out, put it in that foil. I'm going to cover that. I'm going to pour a whole stick of butter over that turkey breast. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to get it in foil as tight as I can get it in foil. I'm going to get a styrofoam cooler. I'm going to put it in a pan in the bottom of a styrofoam cooler, and I'm going to cover that sucker with blankets. And I'm not going to look at it for 3 hours. Now, what happens with this magical turkey, and Mark Lambert gave me this idea from Sweet Swine O' Mine. When we went down, we cooked the National Steak Championship back down, I don't know, a few years ago down in Dallas, Texas. And they had a catering, and they said, oh, Lambert's catering, and what are we having? Well, we're having turkey breast and pork loin. I'm going, okay, here we go. And I didn't know Lambert was doing it at that point. And that was the best damn turkey breast and pork loin I've ever had in my life. And so, of course, I get home and I'm like, hey, Lambert, what'd you do there? And they were using an old hickory, and they were taking the turkey breast and they were wrapping them individually, and they were throwing them just in coolers as fast as they could take them off. And they were filling these coolers full of this turkey breast. And so I did a little research. I did it at home. And so I put a remote probe in it. So I had a remote probe because I wanted to pull it at exactly 138. So I looked at, we put the butter in it. We did everything. And when I put it in that cooler, I set the probe, and I watched that over a matter of an hour and a half to almost 2 hours rise from 138 degrees all the way up to 162 degrees.
Incredible.
Right? Now, before all you haters say, well, poultry's got to be 165, I'm the guy that will never cook a chicken breast above 145 degrees because it's done. You just let it rest. So what happens is you're almost sous videing this turkey after it's been cooked. And so it just keeps getting more tender and tender and tender. And then you take it out and let it go 3 hours, let it go 4 hours, whatever you want. Because at about that 2.5, 3 hour mark, it's going to hit that high, and then it's going to start coming back down. And when it starts coming back down, you're fine to let her go. But then we slice that baby up, and then we dredge it through that butter and salt and pepper and garlic, which I think that's probably the real key. Is if you're going to serve it, you dredge it. And a lot of Texas barbecue joints do that. They'll do the same kind of process, but they'll cook it and then throw it in the warmer. So it's a controlled heat rather than the cooler, and they'll just let it sous vide. And that's why I think sometimes Texas turkey is better than Texas brisket for just the process of doing that. But
I've never had.
It's just crazy good.
Never had it that way. But
man, I'm telling you, Randy. It's amazing. I cook them little 4-pound petite breast, right? I'm trying to cook one lobe of that breast. I'm not cooking a big 10, 11, 12 pounder. I'm cooking a 4-pound petite lobe. We always cook Michigan turkey. We have in the restaurant, we've cooked Michigan turkey for years and years and years. All 13 years we've been in business, I think we've cooked Michigan turkey. So they've got a petite turkey breast that is just out of this world good. And, so that's what everybody looks forward to most. So we're going to smoke that. We're going to take that. Right. We're going to take that turkey. We're going to thaw it out. And then we're going to cover it with salt, pepper, and garlic, whatever rub. You can put whatever you rub. I just love salt, pepper, and garlic on turkey. And I love salt, pepper, and garlic on pretty much damn anything. I love simplicity. I'll put it on that smoker at 275 degrees. It's going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get that breast up to 138 degrees. As soon as it comes off, I'm going to have melted butter sitting right there. I'm going to take the turkey
One
breast,
stick.
wrap it in foil, put that melted butter, and within one stick per breast.
Okay.
And I'm going to, and you don't even have to melt that butter. I've been lazy before, Randy, and not melted the butter, and it still works.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it'll work. But then just throw that in a cooler and cover it with as much space. You want to get rid of it and just don't even look at it for 3.5, 4 hours. Just don't even look at it and then take it out and slice it. And I'm telling you, it is the best damn turkey you're going to eat on Thanksgiving. You can inject and you can brine and you can do all this other crap. You cook a turkey breast that way, amazing. They'll be coming back for more. You won't even need to cook ham.
There you go. Well, I guarantee you that'll be on the docket for us for Thanksgiving this year.
So any other favorites, Randy, when you come? You got to have the green bean casserole or the broccoli cheese casserole or anything like that?
Well, I think usually, as I remember right, I haven't been home for Thanksgiving for the last couple of years, honestly, so it's been a while. But it's green bean casserole. Isn't always a mainstay.
I've never had that.
Really? With the onion,
we make it all the time. Top? Yeah, the French. I've never. I don't know why. Maybe it's I've just never had cream of mushroom soup. Maybe if you did it with cream of celery, I'd probably like it. But just the whole cream of mushroom, and I love mushrooms, but I'm not a big cream of mushroom. It just doesn't sound very appetizing to me. We make the shit out of it in the restaurant. We serve it as our holiday meat thing. We make fucking hundreds of pounds of that going out and put them onions on the top, and people just go crazy. But I have never personally had it. Now, I grew up, we were always a broccoli cheese and rice casserole that went in the crock pot, whatever.
Sure.
I haven't made that for years, and I've got the recipe. But the problem is I'm the only one that's going to eat it because I've got a bunch of carnivores in my family that, they're going to eat mashed potatoes and gravy and meat, and that's going to be about it.
Well, as we've always said, know your audience. So it's obvious you do.
Yeah, I know my audience, so I never get to make a lot of fun stuff. But I think tonight on the docket is, of course, the grandkids. I'm getting ready to go out of town. We're heading to Indio, California. Old Jeff from Chicken and Grin, and we're going out to be with old Sterling and go on a little foodie tour, and then we're going to cook that barbecue contest in Indio this weekend. And so by the time we this hits the market, we'll either be winners or losers.
But at least you've been there.
We've been there, and I guarantee our belly's going to be full.
I can only imagine.
So, but we'll get Thanksgiving out of the way, and then I don't know. I think it's time to go to Florida again, Randy. I haven't been there for like 5 days.
Well, I'm going to be out of town after Thanksgiving myself. So,
where are you going? You going anywhere good? You going back to Puerto Rico?
Yeah, exactly. Just check on things back down there.
I missed that I missed that invitation.
Well, still got room.
Who's going? You?
Just me.
Well, because there's a chance she'll get drawn for jury duty. She's got to check in for jury duty right after Thanksgiving, and normally I'd head to Florida. So if she gets called for jury duty, she doesn't need me around here.
No, you'd be better off being in Puerto Rico with me out of her hair.
Right. Surf's up, dude.
There you go. That's exactly right.
Any other things on the horizon? Everything, food truck season's kind of coming down to an end. Get these holidays out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. we did the food. We did an event last week, and that was pretty well it. We'll be out on Thanksgiving, or the day before Thanksgiving, on that Wednesday, when we'll be passing out stuff that people have bought for Thanksgiving. We'll have it on then, but we're pretty well done. I've done that, trying to keep it going all winter, and it's hit and miss. And you'll plan on having a day, and like today, I mean, here in Central Illinois, it's like 65, 68 degrees, nice out. And you think, well, they're calling weather to be like that for the next couple weeks, and then you schedule it. People get planning for it, and it turns off down to goddamn 2 degrees, and 2 degrees and diesel engines don't mix out here with me. Even though we got block heaters, the generator on the truck is diesel, and it just don't work, so.
It just don't like to run, so.
No. So
okay.
We're pretty well done with that. So.
Get these holidays out of the way, and then we'll start looking for a way to find some sunshine.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Okay. Well, if you don't have anything, I think we're done.
We're done.
Well, like Emma always says, make sure you follow us, like us, ring the bell, YouTube. I don't know. We're going to have her record something, but just go to Instagram or go to YouTube or just anywhere your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever. Hit the cue of the mic, but more importantly, if you like what we're doing, share it with your friends. Tell them to give us.
Exactly.
And I just think, Randy, we made a mistake here. I haven't heard the word fuck one time.
Well,
this entire podcast.
Probably somebody got offended, probably because I said it too many times last time. So I decided I hadn't done it. So I've cleaned up my act. It's a new Randy.
You've cleaned up.
You've heard that shit. You've heard that shit before, haven't you?
Usually on a hungover morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah,
until next time,
share the show.
We're out of here.
All right.
Share the show. Share the shit show. Okay. See you. Bye.